The rain came down like 1,000 needles from the sky, slicing through the darkness of the forest. Thunder rolled above the trees, loud and angry. Inside a small wooden cabin on the edge of an uncharted planet, a human man named Cole sat by. A crackling fire, reading an old book. He lived alone. He liked it that way until that night, a knock echoed on the door. Not loud, just desperate. Cole frowned. No one ever came this deep into the forest. Not unless they were lost or running. He stood up slowly. Another knock. This one softer. Weak Cole picked up his old plasma revolver and walked to the door. He opened it cautiously, and there she was. An alien woman stood there, barely able to keep her balance. Her green skin was covered in blood and mud. Her long black hair stuck to her face. She had a deep cut on her arm and a strange glowing mark on her neck. In her hand was a broken plasma blade. Then her eyes met his, bright, golden, and filled with something strange. Not fear, not anger, but exhaustion. She collapsed. Cole caught her before she hit the ground. He had no idea who she was. But something in those eyes told him this woman had been through hell, and now she was in his arms. Cole laid her on his couch. She was heavier than she looked. Her muscles were strong, her body tough. A warrior. He didn't know much about alien species, but he knew she wasn't just any traveler. He cleaned her wounds as best he could. She didn't wake, not even when he stitched the cut on her shoulder. Her breathing was shallow, but steady. Later that night, as the storm raged outside, he sat across from her, watching. He couldn't sleep. Who was she? Why did she knock on his door? The next morning, she opened her eyes. He was still sitting there. Half asleep, but alert the moment she moved. She sat up quickly, her hand flying to her side, searching for a weapon. "It's gone," Cole said calmly. "Your blade was broken. I took it away." She looked at him, eyes sharp now. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice low, controlled. "I should be asking you that," Cole replied. She didn't speak. "I'm Cole," he said. "I live here, alone." She looked around the small cabin wood walls, a simple kitchen, a fire still burning. "You didn't turn me in. I don't even know who you are." She blinked. For a moment, her guard dropped. Then she leaned back, wincing in pain. "You saved me. I helped someone who knocked on my door in the middle of a storm. Foolish, maybe." Later that day, Cole checked his comm screen. A new alert flashed across the network. "Wanted Alex, the lethal ghost. Species, unknown hybrid. Height, 6 won. Eyes, gold. Known for over 120 confirmed kills. Dangerous, do not approach. Report sightings immediately. Reward, 10 million. Credits, dead or alive." Cole stared at the image on screen. It was her. The same golden eyes. Same scar near her jaw. He slowly looked over at her. She was sleeping again, face calm. He whispered to himself, "What the hell did I just let into my house?" That evening, she walked to the kitchen slowly. She was stronger already. She poured water from the container he left for her. Cole didn't speak. He didn't have to. "You saw it," she said, facing the window. "Yes. You going to report me?" He paused. "Should I?" She turned to him, eyes narrowed. "I wouldn't be here if I had a choice. I was ambushed, shot in the back by the ones who trained me. I didn't kill the last target. It was a child." Cole didn't speak. He just listened. "I ran. This was the first place without scanners. I thought I'd die in the forest. You almost did." She looked at him. "Why didn't you let me?" Cole stood up, walked past her, and answered quietly, "Because you're not a monster in my eyes. Just someone who needed help." For the first time, her shoulders dropped. Not in weakness, in relief. a dangerous assassin, the galaxy's most feared killer. And here she was, in a cabin with a human who didn't see her as a bounty, but as a person. She whispered her name. Alex Cole nodded. "Welcome, Alex." Outside, the storm had passed, but the real storm was only beginning. The morning after the storm was quiet but heavy. Birds sang outside, and the forest seemed calm. But inside the cabin, there was tension so thick it could be cut with a blade. Alex sat at the table, her golden eyes staring into a bowl of warm soup. Cole watched her from across the room, sipping his coffee. He wasn't sure if she was eating because she trusted him more, because she had no choice. "How long until they find you?" Cole finally asked. She looked up, not surprised by the question. "I disabled their tracking beacon when I was shot, but it won't take them long. A few days, maybe less." Cole didn't answer. He simply nodded and leaned back in his chair. "You don't talk much," Alex said, raising an eyebrow. "You do enough for both of us." That made her smirk, just a little. But it was there. Then silence returned, till Cole asked the question that had been burning in his mind. "Why did you kill?" Alex's expression changed instantly. Her face became hard, eyes colder. "You think I enjoyed it?" she said. "You think I signed up to be an assassin?" "I don't know. That's why I'm asking." She looked out the window. The trees moved gently in the breeze. "I was taken when I was 8. My planet was raided. My people were sold. I don't remember my parents' faces, just fire and chains." Cole's fingers tightened around his cup. "They trained me in Sector 9, she continued. "A military lab. My blood type is rare. My bones are reinforced. They said I was perfect for the program, perfect for killing." Her voice didn't shake, but it didn't need to. The silence between her words carried the pain. "I followed every order, hit every mark. They taught me to be quiet, quick, clean. I was a weapon, not a person. And now. She hesitated. "I disobeyed. I let a child go. That's all it took. Now I'm the target." Cole looked at her carefully. "You could have killed me too, but you didn't."
She raised
an eyebrow. "You gave me water and a warm fire. Even machines respond to kindness." "I don't think you're a machine," he said softly. She blinked. No one had ever told her that before. Later, Alex stepped outside for the first time. The forest was alive with birds and small creatures. She moved slowly, but her eyes scanned every angle, every possible threat. Cole watched her from the porch. "You don't need to keep scanning," he said. "There's no one out here but me." "You don't know them," she replied. "They don't stop. They don't sleep. They send trackers, bounty drones, bloodhounds from other planets." "You plan to keep running?" She nodded. "I always have." Cole tilted his head. "Not tired." She looked at him. "I'm exhausted." That night, as she sharpened a blade she had crafted from scrap metal, Cole handed her a small data pad. She stared at it. "What's this?" "The bounty on you was updated. Your price doubled. They're desperate now." Kea looked at the screen. Kea, ruthless, stared back. Cold, ruthless. "That's not me anymore," she said. "Then who are you now?" She didn't answer. Instead, she asked, "Why haven't you turned me in yet?" "Because I don't turn in people who knock on my door half dead during a thunderstorm, even if they've killed more people than you've met in your life." Cole didn't flinch. "You said it yourself, you followed orders. I've served in the border corps. I've met soldiers who did worse. But when they were given the chance to stop, they did." Alex stared at him. She didn't want to believe him, but she wanted to believe someone. "I don't deserve a second chance." "Maybe not, but you need one." That night, she didn't sleep on the couch. Instead, she sat by the fire, watching the flames dance. Cole placed a blanket beside her, but said nothing. "Do you think people like me can ever stop looking over their shoulder?" she asked. Cole sat beside her, not too close. "I think everyone has a shadow. Some choose to walk through it." Her eyes shined with the firelight. "Not just light, but emotion. You're strange for a human," she whispered. "You're quiet for an assassin." For the first time since she arrived, she laughed. It was short, rough, but real. But outside, deep in the forest, something stirred. A drone, black and silent, hovered between the trees. Its scanners blinked red as it picked up the faint trace of alien blood. A signal pulsed across the stars. They knew where she was now, and time was running out. The morning sunlight barely broke through the heavy mist rolling in across the trees. Birds were quiet. The forest felt wrong. Alex sensed it first. She had been outside, barefoot on the moss-covered ground, trying to feel something real, something that wasn't blood or fire or death. But then her golden eyes narrowed. Her breathing stilled. Something was watching. She turned her head slowly. No birds, no sounds. Then, a soft, unnatural hum to faint for most ears, but not hers. She ran back to the cabin. Cole was chopping wood. When Alex appeared, urgency written all over her face. Inside, she snapped. He dropped the axe and followed her without question. "They found me." "How?" he asked, already locking the door. "Blood trace, probably from my wound. I thought I burned the trail." She paced near the window, her shoulders tense. "I was wrong." Cole pulled his old revolver from the drawer. "How many are coming? Could be one drone now. More later. They always scout before sending flesh. What do we do?" Alex looked around the cabin. It had one entrance. Wooden walls, no shield tech, no escape tunnels. "We run." Cole had never prepared for war. He had prepared for peace, solitude, survival, silence. But now he was packing his satchel with ration pods and water canisters while an alien assassin checked their escape route. "We move east," she said. "The ridge blocks most satellite scans. There's a mining shaft abandoned." "You sure it's safe?" She gave a dry smile. "Nothing's ever safe." They left just before the sun climbed too high, but the drone had already locked onto them. Hidden high in the trees, it sent a silent ping. Seconds later, deep in orbit, a bounty ship received the signal. Then the real hunt began. By midday, Alex and Cole were halfway up the ridge. The terrain was steep, and Cole was slowing down. "You should go without me," he said, breath heavy. "No." "I'll only slow you." "No," she repeated, firmer this time. "I didn't come back to life just to leave the only decent soul behind." He looked at hers, wet on his brow, dirt on his hands, and realized something strange. She meant it. They reached the mining shaft by nightfall. It was dark, metal walls rusted and cold. The facility was ancient, its lights long dead. But it was quiet. And quiet, for once, meant survival. They made camp inside the command center. Alex used her blade to seal the door. Cole lit a small fire near the old reactor core. Now just an empty shell. "This place reminds me of prison," she muttered. "Better than a grave." She didn't answer. Later that night, Cole sat awake. Alex cleaned her blade across from him. He finally asked, "Why did you really come to my cabin?" She looked up. For a moment, she hesitated. "Because I was tired of running, and now I'm tired of hiding." Suddenly, a sharp beep echoed from her wrist device. Her eyes widened. "They're close." "How close?" "Here." Before Cole could move, the wall exploded inward. Metal shards flew through the air, smoke. Sparks, through the cloud, stepped two. Bounty hunters, masked, armored, armed with shock rifles. Alex leaped forward like lightning. The first bounty hunter fired, but she was already behind him, slamming her blade into his back. The second one aimed at Cole, bang. Cole's old revolver. Fired. The shot wasn't perfect, but it hit the bounty's leg, dropping him. Alex finished him off with one smooth strike. Silence returned. Cole looked down at the rifle in the dead man's hand. Alex looked at him. "You've shot before?" "I've lived a life," he replied. "Then you know this won't stop." He nodded. They packed up again, fast. Alex checked the bounty hunter's scanner. More signals were converging closer by the minute. "They're coming in waves." Cole frowned. "They think they can bleed you out." "That's what they always do." "Then we don't play their game," he said. "We lead them into ours." Alex tilted her head. "You have a plan." "No, but I've got landmines." Blinked. Then, for the second time since they met, she laughed. Outside the abandoned shaft, Cole buried his old border mines under leaves and roots. Alex, watching from a nearby cliff, marked enemy approach paths using the stolen scanner. She spoke quietly. "Why are you doing this?" "You need help?" "No," she said. "You could die helping me. Then I'll die doing something right." She stared at him, confused. People didn't talk to her this way. They didn't stay. They didn't believe in her. But Cole wasn't. People. He was human. And in her eyes, for the first time in years. She wasn't a killer. She was something else. Maybe even someone worth saving. The traps had been set. Mines buried. Escape routes mapped. The scanner blinked faintly in Alex's hand, pulsing with the signals of approaching enemies. She stood at the edge of the cliff, overlooking the dense trees below. Wind tugged at her long hair. The stars above shimmered cold and distant. Behind her, Cole worked quietly, stringing power cells to create a last line of defense. He wasn't a soldier anymore, but old instincts didn't die. He moved with calm focus, like a man who'd made peace with the risk. Alex watched him. For a moment, she forgot to breathe. No one had ever stayed this long. Night fell fast. They sat together by a low fire inside the shaft entrance. The warmth flickered across their faces, dancing in silence. Cole finally spoke, breaking the quiet. "What will you do after this? If we survive?" Alex stared into the flames. "There is no after. Not for someone like me. You sound." "Sure, I'm the most wanted assassin in the galaxy, Cole. No one wants me to live. I do." She looked at him sharply, not angry, surprised. He didn't flinch under her stare. His voice was steady. "Maybe it's selfish, but I don't believe the universe wins by taking people like you out. People like me." She asked quietly, "You didn't kill that child. You came back for me. You protected me. You're not just a weapon. You're more than what they made you." Alex's throat tightened. She hated how his words reached inside her like a blade cutting, but not cruel. She whispered, "You're the first person who ever said that. Then you need better company." Later that night, Alex couldn't sleep. Not because of danger, but because of her. Own mind memories returned in waves. The cold steel of the training rooms. The voice of her first commander. "You are not a name. You are not a soul. You are a tool," that had been her truth for years. And yet, Cole had given her a name again. Not just Alex, but something more. He gave her a place, a choice, even trust. And that scared her more than any bounty hunter ever had. The next morning, the scanner lit up again. 3 ships, landing close. "Ground units incoming. They'll be here by sunset," she said. Cole nodded. "Then we greet them properly." Alex smiled faintly. You almost enjoy this. I enjoy surviving. She tossed him a shock blade. Then let's make sure we do. By late afternoon, the forest grew tense. Alex crouched in the trees, blending with shadows. Her new armor taken from the last bounty fit tight against her frame. Silent, deadly. But her hands trembled slightly. Not from fear, from something else. She had something to lose now. The enemy moved in carefully. 5 bounty hunters, each from different species. 1 reptilian, 2 cybernetic. 1 insectoid sniper. And a tall woman in red armor with eyes like fire. They spread out, well-trained. Alex's eyes narrowed. She knew the one in red. Commander Vera. Her handler, her betrayer. The mines exploded first. 2 bounty hunters vaporized instantly in a flash of heat and dirt. The others scattered. Chaos. Then Alex struck. She moved like a ghost, fast, fluid, brutal. A blade across the neck of one cybernetic soldier. A shot to the knee of the reptilian one. A tackle through the trees to the sniper's nest. Cole, hidden behind rocks, fired 2 clean shots with his revolver. One connected, the other missed, but it was enough. The red-armored woman was alone now. Vera stepped forward. Scanning the trees, Alex, she called. You can't run from me. Alex dropped from the trees behind her. I'm not running. Vera turned just in time to block the blade but not the kick to the chest. She crashed into a fallen tree. You were made to obey, Vera snarled. You were perfect. I was a prisoner. You think this human life will save you? Vera spat. They'll turn on you too. Alex tightened her grip. He's not like you. You love him, don't you? Vera laughed bitterly. How pathetic. I'm not your tool anymore. Alex raised her blade and froze. Not because of fear, but because of choice. She lowered. The weapon? I don't need to kill you to win. Vera reached for her sidearm. Bang. Cole's bullet hit the weapon clean out of her hand. He stepped into the clearing. You're outnumbered, Vera hissed, clutching her wrist. You'll regret this, both of you. No, Alex said. We'll live. They let her go. It was a message. Alex wasn't hiding anymore. She had a name, a life, and someone to fight for. That night, she sat beside Cole once more. He handed her a canteen. You okay? Asked. She looked up. Her golden eyes were softer. Now, calmer. I didn't kill her. That's a good thing. I didn't know I could stop. You did. She leaned back against the wall, looking at the stars. Maybe. I want to believe I'm more than what I was. Cole smiled. Then let's build something new. Together, they sat in the quiet. For the first time, it's not as fugitive and shelter, but as something like hope. The forest had gone quiet again, but not in peace. Alex could still feel the tension under her skin, the aftershocks of the battle. Of seeing her former handler, of choosing not to kill. That decision had changed something in her. She didn't know if it made her weak or strong, but she knew this. She didn't regret it. The next few days were calm. Too calm. Cole and Alex moved to a deeper part of the forest, closer to the mountains. There, they found an old, wrecked transport, buried under vines. They made it there, shelter hidden, defensible. Off-grid, they patched its systems enough to give them light, heat, and a place to rest. Cole fixed the broken console with wires pulled from an old drone. Alex cooked stew from forest roots and a small rodent she hunted with precision. It was quiet, warm, almost normal. That night, as a storm rolled in far in the distance, Cole leaned against the transport wall, watching Alex stare at a flickering holoscreen. She was silent, lost in thought. The glow of the screen reflected in her golden eyes. You're thinking too much, Cole said gently. She glanced at him. Habit, still running things in your head. Every escape, Every scenario, every betrayal. Cole looked at her. With concern, you don't have to expect betrayal anymore. Alex gave a bitter smile. That's when it hurts the most, when you stop expecting it. The next morning, an old trader arrived. He was a short, round man with oily skin, wearing patched-up robes. His name was Bren. He claimed to be passing through, carrying supplies to a nearby colony. Cole found him while gathering firewood and brought him to the shelter. Bren laughed easily, smiled often, and shared dried fruit and strange alien jerky. Thought this region was uninhabited, Bren said, eyeing Alex curiously. We like it that way, Cole replied. Alex remained cold, her eyes never leaving the trader. She didn't trust easily, and she didn't like his smell. Later, while Cole helped Bren recharge his skimmer, Alex quietly entered his ship. She moved through the narrow corridors, her eyes scanning every corner. She found it in the back, a device, still warm, still active, and a copy of her bounty image baited. Her heart stopped. He had already sent a ping. Bren had reported them. She returned outside slowly, hiding her fury. Cole was still talking. Unaware, she gave a slight nod to him, just enough to warn. He paused, understood, moved his hand toward his sidearm. Bren noticed. Something wrong? Alex's voice was cold now. Yes, you. In a flash, Bren pulled a hidden shocker from his sleeve. But Alex was faster. She closed the gap, kicking the weapon from his hand, slamming him into the dirt. Who did you contact? She growled. He spit on the ground. I'm just a messenger. You'll never outrun the network. Maybe not, she said. But you won't be the one to catch me. Cole watched her, breathing hard. She had every reason to kill the man. But she didn't. She stepped back. Go, she told him. And tell them what you saw. Tell them I'm not afraid anymore. Bren scrambled away, disappearing into the trees. Cole came up beside her. That was risky. He was nobody, Alex replied. Just another weak man chasing easy credits. But he still sent the signal. She nodded. They'll come. All of them. And we'll be ready. Later that evening, Alex sat alone at the edge of a rocky cliff. Watching the sun sink behind the mountains, Cole joined her. He sat in silence beside her until she spoke. You were right. About what? Trusting someone hurts more when it's broken. Are you talking about him? She said quietly. I'm talking about me. He looked at her, puzzled. I wanted to believe it was over. That the fighting, the hiding, the killing, could stop. She paused. But people like me, we never get peace. You're not just a killer anymore, Alex. But I was one. For a long time. Cole didn't argue. He just said, and still, you spared him. Alex looked at him. I didn't do it for him. He smiled. I know. That night, the wind howled louder. A warning, ships were coming. Bigger ones, with weapons, with orders. The sky above the mountains turned black and naturally black. Alex stood outside the transport shelter, her eyes narrowed, jaw tense. She'd seen warships before. She'd fought in battles that turned planets into ash. But this time felt different. This time, they weren't hunting her because she failed a mission. They were coming because she had finally chosen her. Own life. Cole stood beside her, watching the distant clouds burn red with descending engines. How many? He asked. 3 ships, she replied. Mid-size class. One probably carries ground troops. The others are for firepower and scan coverage. They're not planning to talk. They never did. Cole checked his sidearm. It looked small, compared to what they were facing. You don't have to stay, she said. He looked at her, surprised. That almost sounded like concern. I mean it, she said, softer now. They're coming for me, not you. Too late. I made myself part of this the moment I opened my door. Alex shook her head. You're stubborn. So are you. They both smiled. It was brief, but real. An hour later, the first ship landed. In the valley below, a dark beast of metal, hissing steam and unfolding wings. Soldiers marched out, not bounty hunters this time. This was the elite network. Enforcement corps. Alex knew their ruthlessness. She had trained beside them once. Now they were her executioners. Cole and Alex moved fast. They took higher ground, setting traps, linking old batteries to pulse bombs, coating their escape tunnels with acid. Spray triggers. It wasn't just defense, it was war, and they would fight it together. Alex crouched behind a ridge, watching the soldiers spread out in formation. Her heart beat steadily, not with fear, with focus. For the first time in her life, she wasn't killing because someone ordered her to. She was fighting to protect, not just herself, but the only person who ever looked at her, and saw more than a weapon. The battle began with fire. One of the trip mines exploded beneath the front line, throwing metal and bodies into the air. Cole, hiding in a tree-lined bunker, took 2 clean shots. Alex launched herself down the ridge, moving like a shadow of death, fast, sharp, silent. She struck one officer in the neck, flipped over another, and disabled the third with a shot from the stolen shock rifle. But they just kept coming. They always did, inside the transport wreck. An explosion rocked the wall. Alex rolled in through the side hatch just in time to find Cole under fire. She tackled one attacker, snapping his rifle, then shot another through the chest. Cole grabbed her arm, panting. They're pushing us back. Then we push harder. But the moment they turned to leave, the wall exploded behind them. Smoke filled the air, and through it walked someone she never thought she'd see again. General Rakuth, her final commander, the one who gave her the child. Mission the one she refused to complete, the one who marked her for death. Alex, he said, in his low, cruel voice. I thought you would go down quietly. She stood tall, eyes burning. No one silences me anymore. I gave you everything, he growled. Power, purpose. You could have led an army. I'd rather live in a forest with a human than die your loyal pet. Cole stepped beside her. Then you'll have to go through both of us, Rykath chuckled. A human, pathetic, weak, pathetic. He's stronger than you'll ever be, she said. Then let's test that theory. The fight was brutal. Rakoth moved like a machine fast, merciless. Alex clashed with him, blades screaming in the narrow space. Sparks flew. Steel bit steel. Cole fired twice, distracting Rakoth just long enough for Alex to slice through his armor. Rakoth fell, bleeding dark alien blood onto the floor. He reached up with his last breath. You were always mine. Alex leaned in close. Not anymore. She plunged the blade through his heart. Silence followed. Not the silence of fear, but of finality. It was over. The remaining troops retreated after their commander's death. The ships lifted. Off scanners, searching but never finding the fugitives again. They were ghosts, now untraceable, free, that night. Alex sat beside Cole under the stars, a bandage on her arm, dirt on her cheeks, but peace in her breath. She looked at him. I've spilled more blood than I can remember, she said. But this time, it meant something. He nodded. It wasn't just survival, it was redemption. She looked up at the stars. I didn't know someone like me could earn that. You didn't earn it, Cole said gently. You chose it, and for once. Alex smiled, not from triumph, not from pride, but from something deeper, something she thought she'd never feel. Again, hope, and not all of them would leave the planet alive. The sky above the mountains turned black, Alex stood outside the transport shelter. Her eyes narrowed, jaw tense. She'd seen warships before. She'd fought in battles that turned planets into ash. But this time felt different. This time, they weren't hunting her because she failed a mission. They were coming because she had finally chosen her own life. Cole stood beside her, watching the distant clouds burn red with descending engines. "How many?" he asked. "3 ships," she replied. "Mid-size class. One probably carries ground troops. The others are for firepower and scan coverage. They're not planning to talk. They never did." Cole checked his sidearm. It looked small, compared to what they were facing. "You don't have to stay," she said. He looked at her, surprised. That almost sounded like concern. "I mean it," she said, softer now. "They're coming for me, not you. Too late. Made myself part of this the moment I opened my door." Alex shook her head. "You're stubborn. So are you." They both smiled. It was brief, but real. An hour later, the first ship landed. In the valley below, a dark beast of metal, hissing steam and unfolding wings. Soldiers marched out, not bounty hunters this time. This was the elite network. Enforcement Corps. Alex knew their ruthlessness. She had trained beside them once. Now they were her executioners. Cole and Alex moved fast. They took higher ground, setting traps, linking old batteries to pulse bombs, coating their escape tunnels with acid. Spray triggers. It wasn't just defense, it was war, and they would fight it together. Alex crouched behind a ridge, watching the soldiers spread out in formation. Her heart beat steadily, not with fear, with focus, for the first time in her life. She wasn't killing because someone ordered her to. She was fighting to protect, not just herself, but the only person who ever looked at her and saw more than a weapon. The battle began with fire. One of the trip mines exploded beneath the front line, throwing metal and bodies into the air. Cole, hiding in a tree-lined bunker, took 2 clean shots. Alex launched herself down the ridge, moving like a shadow of death, sharp, silent. She struck one officer in the neck, flipped over another, and disabled the third with a shot from the stolen shock rifle. But they just kept coming. They always did. Inside the transport wreck, an explosion rocked the wall. Alex rolled in through the side hatch just in time to find Cole under fire. She tackled one attacker, snapping his rifle, then shot another through the chest. Cole grabbed her arm, panting. "They're pushing us back." Then we push harder. But the moment they turned to leave, the wall exploded behind them. Smoke filled the air, and through it walked someone she never thought she'd see again. General Raykuth, her final commander, the one who gave her the child. Mission, the one she refused to complete. The one who marked her for death. "Alex," he said in his low, cruel voice. "I thought you would go down quietly." She stood tall, eyes burning. "No one silences me anymore." "I gave you everything," he growled. "Power, purpose. You could have led an army. I'd rather live in a forest with a human than die your loyal pet." Cole stepped beside her. "Then you'll have to go through both of us." Raykoth chuckled. "A human. This is what you protect. Weak, pathetic." "He's stronger than you'll ever be," she said. "Then let's test that theory." The fight was brutal. Raykoth moved like a machine fast, merciless. Alex clashed with him, blades screaming in the narrow space. Sparks flew, steel bit steel. Cole fired twice, distracting Raykoth just long enough for Alex to slice through his armor. Raykoth fell, bleeding dark alien blood onto the floor. He reached up with his last breath. "You were always mine." Alex leaned in close. "Not anymore." She plunged the blade through his heart. Silence followed. Not the silence of fear, but of finality. It was over. The remaining troops retreated after their commander's death. The ships lifted off, scanners searching but never finding the fugitives again. They were ghosts, now untraceable, free. That night, Alex sat beside Cole under the stars, a bandage on her arm, dirt on her cheeks, peace in her breath. She looked at him. "I've spilled more blood than I can remember," she said. But this time, it meant something. He nodded. It wasn't just survival, it was redemption. She looked up at the stars. "I didn't know someone like me could earn that." "You didn't earn it," Cole said gently. "You chose it." And for once, Alex smiled, not from triumph, not from pride, but from something deeper. Something she thought she'd never feel again. Hope.